I'm Chris Johnson. I am a senior solutions engineer with InEight, with a particular focus on the virtual design and construction kind of software suite of tools. So my background is predominantly in kind of design and construction. I come from a design house and then migrated into like general contractors, particularly in the Australian Pacific kind of market. Kind of grew up in construction. Like my father had a construction company, my great grandfather had a construction company, and his great grandfather. So like growing up, I kind of grew up in that construction industry and always kind of around builds, like anything from a house, to like small, medium-sized commercial. So like kind of grew up in kind of construction and building like kind of my whole life. So that was kind of, you'd think that would be the start of me kind of leading into the industry, but I think it's pretty similar for some of us that grew up in it. Kind of when we got to that point of like choosing what we wanted to do, construction was probably the last thing that we wanted to do at the time, and probably wanted to run fair away from it. So my interest, or the thing that really kind of caught my eye at the time, was like psychology and neuroscience, believe it or not. So when I went off to university, I wanted to go study psychology, and then I found out probably the studying wasn't the thing for me. Like after a while of being at university, so I actually went to travel, and then in one of my travels, I actually came across a particular master mason. So weirdly enough, I started my kind of construction. My first professional construction job was actually under a master mason. So learning actual stone masonry, and then in particular like heritage rebuild. So like particularly focusing on like Australian iconic builds, like the Central Station Clock Tower was that like where I started my construction career as a bunker mason. Yeah, and then kind of grew into like kind of sculpting, and then need to have a career change at some point. So like I worked as a stonemason for 4 years, and then shifted quite regularly. One of the reasons why I shifted was like the inconsistencies in the industry, and like some of the struggles that we had on site during the time, particularly when you're working with like structures and heritage items that are over 100 years old. The way that we kind of maintain and we kind of restore the sites or particular buildings or heritage items is a very like long-winded process, and it was not very like a technical, not very it wasn't a very digitally in tune process. So I kind of saw like a bit of an opening, which kind of led me to shifting my career outside of construction and more into like kind of design management and digital engineering. Really, it comes from like driving change in the construction industry for me. So like a particular passion of mine is technology and innovation, and that's kind of where my career focused from as well. So like I became a digital solutions lead with a focus in digital technologies in the construction field, like ranging from point cloud scanning to drones to robotics. Some of these kind of new innovative things that are happening on sites now. I was the crazy guy talking about it 10 years ago at conferences and telling people that it would be the future. So that's kind of what drew me to InEight. Is I have a platform, and we have a platform, and we have a solution that can provide like real change on site, and it gives real value to construction jobs. So like that's the real passion of mine, really, is like through like digital transformation, and that kind of drew me to InEight, because like you said, like that's kind of one of our key pillars, and that's what we try to provide our clients at the end of the day. I think like one of these things, right, and I kind of mentioned it before, where we had a real estate agent who had a drones license, and now he kind of operates like one of the largest drone companies kind of in our region at the moment, that works in construction. Like anybody that works in technology, there is such a great chance to really influence the way that like your surrounding environments are going to be built in the future. And I think that's something to like really kind of, that's something that you can be passionate about. Like I say this, and I often do this talk into students that are studying like game design at university here, that to consider a career in construction. You know, like it's great building games, and that's one way that you can take your career. But there is other options out there. You know, like you can help build, you know, the built world around you, and help build us like build things virtually before it gets built in real life. So I think that number one thing of just like it, if you are in a technological, if you are coming from a technological background, or one of these like either like gaming designs or VR or AR or computational artists, consider a career in construction, because like you're going to see things get built around you that are coming from your skill sets.